Hi guys, and welcome to Global Film Pool. On today's episode, we are looking at the film Birthday Boy, which was screened at the Garden Cinema's new Central American Film Festival last night. The film is directed by Arutu Montenegro and was Panama's official submission at the 95th Academy Awards in 2023. In this video, I'm going to review the film, followed by some analysis of how well Panama has done at the Oscars, including their performance in the last 10 years. If you're new to this channel, Global Film Pool covers the best of world cinema and follows the race for the Best International Feature Film Oscar, from countries selecting their submission to the country that eventually wins the Oscar. So let's roll and review the film. Birthday Boy is set in a luxury flat where Jimmy and his wife are preparing for his 45th birthday. As all his nearest and dearest arrive, Jimmy wants to tell her secret, that he has a terminal disease and is considering killing himself because he knows it's just going to become more and more discomfort. He wants to spend that last birthday with all the people that he loves and have the night of his life. I think my first reflections reflect something that happens with a fair few films that come from the Central American region, and not obviously every film, but there is a lot of use of melodrama. And I found in this film in particular, it really notches up that melodramatic moment. And obviously not every Central American film uses melodrama, but in this instance, it goes up a bit too much for my liking. The film tries its best to use the sort of melodrama aspect to explore the issues, both moral and philosophical, around euthanasia. So how do you have faith in your religion when you also have a loved one who wants to kill himself because it's too painful? Should his friends and family agree to this? Are they accomplices? Should they be arrested if they help out or if they know anything? These films attempts to explore this in a rather simple and, if I can be honest, predictable narrative. This sort of mesh between the melodrama and the philosophical and moral dimension doesn't really work because the melodrama is just too much and the narrative is not strong enough to bring out the nuances needed to explore this really complex subject. While I didn't love the use of melodrama, one thing I particularly liked about the film was how on occasions it used the score. So for example, in the earlier parts of the film, there's this really heavy-handed score, which obviously adds to the melodrama. But there's also these sort of electronic beats, which are a bit like a heart, and combining them together gives this sort of unique score, which creates this new atmosphere. You really get the sense of pressure of Jimmy, sort of really nervous about telling his friends and family that he's ill and he wants to die. The acting is okay. Some of it's wooden, some of it's great. I particularly like Giovanni Alvarez, who plays his best friends. There's this sort of intimate chemistry between Jimmy and his character, which is sort of represents that bonding between straight men and incorporating straight masculinity. I think he's really good at using what he has in the script really effectively to create a really believable friendship. And so when he finds out about Jimmy's condition and what Jimmy plans to do, you really feel he's upset. And that works really well. There are also good use of cinematography, really exploiting the beach surroundings. It looks really peaceful. It looks luxurious. Using the waves really means a lot in terms of his mental health. The rock formations and just generally the Panama wildlife is just beautifully captured. And there are moments of real artistry in the film, both on the outside natural beauty, but also in this luxury modern house is really used effectively, and especially these stairs that are there. So while I don't like the melodramatic element to the film, I really appreciate the cinematography. I think these glimpses of brillianceness just shows that the director has so much potential, and maybe with a different script, with a different film, we could have a really good film coming out from him that really kind of pushes it towards a more international market, and that meets that sort of art house artistry that I would want to look for from a country submission. While the style and the melodrama is very OTT, much more than to my liking, I can only give this film 2 stars. It may be the case that it's a film made primarily for a domestic audience who expects this style of melodrama, but for me it was just too much and a bit alienating for me to be fully invested in what was going on the screen. So now let's move on to look at how it did at the Oscars. Despite Panama submitting it for the Oscars, it was not selected to be shortlisted, and to be honest, I'm not particularly surprised. I've seen 56 films submitted that year, and I would rank it 54th, which is very, very low. And while there's moments of brilliance, it is that melodramatic element that kind of causes it to be lower than some of the others who are able to bring a bit more artistry to the films. I'm quite keen to see how Panama have done at the Oscars. They've only submitted films since 2014, but have been consistent over the last 10 years. From those 10 films submitted, they've had one film that managed to get shortlisted, which was Plaza Cathedral, which starred the young actor who used to be a member of a gang called Fernando Xavier de Castro, who sadly got shot before the international release of the film, which created this sort of dimension to the film that the director was intending about the awfulness of young people in gangs and the violence that exists in certain parts of Panama. And I think the film and the events really brought home to the horrific situation that was, which perhaps helped got it to the shortlist. It's a good film, so it kind of deserved to be in that shortlist, really. If we look at the all-time ranking of the Global Film Pool ranking table of every country and how they have performed at the Oscars, Panama is ranked 85th. They're a place below Iraq, who have submitted more films than them but have never been shortlisted. However, they are a place above Ecuador, who has also submitted one more film than Panama, but because they haven't had that shortlisted film, they're kind of ranked below, which is actually quite a good barometer for Panama, a country from a similar area of the world, similar style of cinema, and Panama have slightly had a better result than Ecuador. So they're kind of punching where they should be in terms of if we were to analyse it from a competitive basis. And if we take the last 10 years' performance, Panama move up to 43rd. This is because of that shortlisted film. They're a place behind Tunisia, who got to the shortlist last year, and also have had a nominated film, The Man Who Sold His Skin, who are a place above them. And they've had a couple of years where they haven't submitted, which should knock them a couple of points off, but they are still a place above Panama. Panama are above Brazil, who are the top country to have submitted every year in the last 10 years, but never got to the shortlisted phase of the Oscars, but they have the best overall record, which gives them a place below Panama. I think we can get from this is Panama is very much developing the film industry with a particular focus on domestic titles. However, some of their submissions have started to show real promise, showing the talent and dedication of the directors involved. And I think as their industry develops, we're going to get more and more titles that perhaps can reach out to a wider audience, which is really exciting because watching films from the Central American region, it's a really interesting part of the world, and there's probably lots of stories that could be told that I'm really interested in seeing. And the way in Birthday Boy in particular they've used that natural landscape of Central America, it's a very exciting place in the world. So Panama, I feel, is one of those countries in that region to watch, to see how their submissions do and the quality, see if there's a development and projection to better and better films, which is really exciting. So that's my review of Birthday Boy and my analysis of how Panama have done at the Oscars. If you are keen to see reviews of the best of world cinema and follow the Oscar race from countries selecting their films to the final winner, please do subscribe and follow future videos.